And we're live. Hello. Welcome, everyone, to Retro Fandango episode number 178. Oh, I think we're live now. And we're live. I don't know. It always says we're live, and then the counter starts. It's always. Anyways, this is episode number 178, Retro Fandango. We don't have as many episodes as some other podcasts out there, but there's a lot more quality jammed into our episodes.
Yeah, we make up for it with enthusiasm.
Yeah. I mean, we're totally into it. Let's get to the house cleaning right away. Quick Save Club. I don't know. I think they're doing mods this month. I don't know what's happening next month. I think. Wait, no, we're in April now. I don't know if they quit. I don't know if they ended it. Maybe I should listen to the episode they posted. I don't know. Maybe I should ask. I don't know what's going on. Cartridge Club this month is playing Zelda The Wind Waker, which I probably am due to play again, but I have to hook up the Wii U in order for me to do that. And that's a lot of effort.
That's the cell shaded one, right?
Yeah, the one that everyone hated at first. They're like, cell shaded Zelda, and then everyone's like, well, this is pretty good. This looks nice.
That was I remember when it came out. That was after that Soul Calibur game had Link in it, and everyone got excited, like that's what Link should look like in the new Zelda game.
Well, and to be fair, I believe Nintendo did put out a trailer that had like that style of graphics, and that got everyone stoked. They said, "Oh man, we're gonna get ourselves like an awesome new Zelda game." And then at some point during, like after that trailer came out, they decided to go the cell shaded route. Probably because the GameCube, I mean, it could handle that better.
Yeah.
Because Wind Waker is a really big game with a big map, and you got to travel all these distances and that. And probably if it were to be a more realistic looking game, it'd be a lot for that little machine to handle. So that's probably why they went the cell shaded route.
Well,
it looks good, you know.
It still looks kind of goofy to me, but I've never played it.
I don't know if I've become used to it. I don't think I ever hated it. I always thought it looked nice. I always thought I liked, you know, like it's timeless. It's a timeless look. You know, it'll never, like, you know, something that where they tried to make something realistic 20 years ago in a video game dates itself, you know?
Where go to any PlayStation 2 game. Exactly.
Whereas something like that, they can always stick to that look. It'll just look timeless forever.
I thought it looked good. They did another one in that style on the Game Boy Advance, I think it was, where they had like the 4 links.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I thought, you know, that one shrunk down to the GBA screen looked fun. Like, hey, little cartoony Zelda.
Well, they stuck to that with the DS too. They had a couple of DS games in that.
Yeah.
That style. Yeah. And finally, RF Gen is playing Transistor, which I do have on Steam. And I'm into the short games lately. That's been my go-to, and this is apparently a short game. So I might check that out and go over to their forum and give them my thoughts on the game after I try it out. But what's that?
I was going to say, that's my favorite game.
Short.
Short.
Yeah. I found it interesting, though, when I went to check it out to see what systems it was on, because I wasn't sure if I had it at all. And it apparently came out on everything except for the Xbox. Like, it's on PlayStation, it's on the PC, it's on Macintosh, it's on the Nintendo Switch, it's on iOS, it's on, like, everything except for the Xbox. Which I found was weird because the guys who made it it's the same developer as Bastion, and Bastion was like, you know, like the flagship indie game for a while on the Xbox 360. It was their exclusive, you know. And you remember when Microsoft would focus on an indie game on their Xbox Live arcade?
Yeah,
remember when they would do that?
Explosion Man was
that was one of them. Yeah. And they would it would be like a summer of indie, and there'd be like 4 months in the summer where they would just like dedicate a month to a different indie game, and that was one of them.
Maybe the developer got burned in the experience.
I don't know. But the game came out in 2014, so plenty of time to port it over to the Xbox. But anyways, I got it on Steam, so that's where I'm gonna check it out.
Hey, we got people in the chat.
Yeah, we got Sarka Sim, who's here. She says it's lonely in this here chat, and then Kyle shows up to give her some company.
Well done. Hello.
It
folks.
usually is pretty lonely in our chat.
It's pretty lonely on this podcast.
But we got Kyle for 15 minutes, so that's all right. That's good. Better than no minutes.
Hey, Star Trek's awesome.
Yeah, I don't think
I'm trying to look, Kyle.
I'm trying to look in our rundown, see if there's anything Kyle centric that he would want to talk about, but I don't think we got anything this month. Although Kyle's into the point and click Star Trek games.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, did you start playing those, Kyle?
He did, I think, or he was looking at getting them or something. I don't know if Kyle saw at the end of last episode, but I mentioned that Bill and Ted code that he gave me didn't work. Something I keep forgetting to tell him.
Well, yeah, it's like a regional.
Yeah, block. I'm locked out of that. It doesn't work in my area, apparently. I don't know how they know. How do they know? But they know.
I got something for Kyle. We're jumping straight ahead into my red hot news. I got Vox versus the MCU update.
That's right. Kyle is an MCU guy.
For all of those out there that care, may not remember. I was going to watch them all this year, and I figured there were like 25 of them, so I'd break them up 2 a month. January, did my Iron Man, did my Incredible Hulk. February, nothing. March, nothing. Just kind of lost my steam. But I finally got around. I watched Iron Man 2.
All right.
There you go, Kyle.
Very nice.
Your guy.
So you're up to you're 3 movies in? Is that the third movie?
3 movies in 4 months. That's it.
Right on. This is you're gonna fly through this series. It's gonna take you no time.
Well, I'll tell you, it's one that I had seen before.
Yeah.
But I did watch it in a hotel on a tiny screen, and it may have been edited. I don't know. And I remember not liking it that much compared to the first one.
Yeah.
And I went through it this time, and I realized I've forgotten pretty much everything except for like 1 or 2 action scenes. But it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad movie. It's kind of like Incredible Hulk level. It didn't have that, ooh, that was really fun like Iron Man. It was like, it's good. And that was a decent action movie there.
Was it Whiplash? Is that the Whiplash one?
Yeah, the Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke?
Yeah, he wasn't terribly interesting. Sam Rockwell was in it. I found him a lot more entertaining to watch.
Yeah. Sam Rockwell's an excellent actor. He's very underrated, and he was a lot of fun in that movie, for sure.
You know, I confused him. Maybe I was thinking of Bill Paxton for a bit, but I had it in my head that Sam Rockwell died. I was like, oh, man, it's such a shame that he died. And maybe I was thinking of, Bill Paxton years ago.
Yeah. No, Sam Rockwell was just in a current movie that's coming out or something. Can't remember.
Yeah, I looked him up and was like, oh, he's alive. And I was like, hey, he's got stuff every year. He's doing something.
Good for him. Good for him. So Kyle says that the first Iron Man is still top notch. And he hasn't played the Star Trek games. He has them, but hasn't played them yet. And Iron Man 2, he agrees it is a step down, but still fun. I agree.
Yeah.
Kyle.
It had its good moments in there.
Yeah, I didn't think it was as bad as some people say. Like the Whiplash, I thought he was okay. He was fine. He was, It
was okay. It was just fairly generic. Like the first one was a lot of fun. It was really interesting, developing the characters and everything. But then you get to this stage, and there was still good stuff. Like the characters had nice things to do. Mm-hmm. Like Pepper Potts got put in charge of the company, and she's busy with all that stuff. It was like good for developing her character. Tony's got some sickness going on.
Yep.
He's getting sick from his thing. The whole creating a new element to fix himself, that kind of happened like, wow, that was fast. You know, you got that clue, and then you're seeing stuff that I can't comprehend. And it's just like basically saying, okay, magic, I fixed myself.
Well, I would say like the weakness with the Iron Man films is the villain always. Like, you know, even Buddy in the first one there. Why am I blank? Jeff Bridges in the first one. He was okay. Yeah. He was okay, but he wasn't like. But I was wondering, you know, when I rewatched the series a few years ago, if they were holding back on the villains in those Iron Man movies because they knew that they were going to have to go all out for the Avengers, right? And you can't go all out in one of those early films, you know, because then you got to make the Avengers just that much more crazy, you know.
Well,
Kyle's getting all technical here. They combined Whiplash with Crimson Dynamo from the comics, didn't translate well on screen.
I don't know who either one of those.
I'd never heard of Whiplash until that movie came out, and Crimson Dynamo, I have no idea who he is. That's why I just look at these as like movies. I don't look at them as comic books turned into movies. I just look at them as movies. Even though I read like Civil War, like to me what they did in the movies was so much better than Civil War in the comics.
Well, I got a theory about my entertainment level with these comic book movies. I recently watched Superman, the original 78 Superman again.
Sauce is in the house.
Hey, Sauce.
Sauce is in the house.
If ever we needed the soundboard back. So I was watching the original Superman, which, sorry, by the way, I did not watch the Justice League. I totally forgot about it, and I realized, like, I got time to watch this.
I remembered earlier in the week, but I have been so fixated on something else that we'll get to later that I could not make the time for the Justice League.
Well, the bottom line is I don't think it's going to be a movie that I'm going to enjoy very much. So I'm really in no rush to watch it.
Well, like judging from the Red Letter Media guys, they said like most of it was okay. So that's the only part that has me a little bit curious about it. But I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. Okay.
Sauce, Sauce says it sucked. So I don't know. I don't always agree with those guys either. Like there's ones that they really like, even in the MCU, there's ones that they really like that I'm kind of meh on, and other ones that they don't like that I like. So, you know.
That's all movie reviews. Roger Ebert gave a thumbs down to the first Spider-Man, and his reasoning was,
I remember that
story's good, actor's good, style's good, but Spider-Man doesn't look heavy enough. Thumbs down.
Yeah, it was the CG, right?
He said the CG, when he's flying around, he doesn't look heavy enough.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Thumbs down.
Yeah. I mean,
he didn't like Die Hard.
That's yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't.
You're never gonna agree 100% with the reviewer.
No, and
you can respect their views.
Yes, but that's what I usually find when I go to his thing is I'm reading through it, and he'll make good points even though I don't agree with it. Like he hated The Getaway with Steve McQueen and Ally McGraw. I love that movie so much. It's just so much fun, and his review just tears it apart, completely apart. He's not wrong about any single one of the points that he makes. I'm just reading. I'm like, well, yeah, I know, but who cares?
You know? Yeah, there's like the technical level, and then there's your enjoyment, what you feel when you watch it.
Steve McQueen is casing the bank. He's across the street, and he's got this telescope, and he's looking through the window, and he's looking at the bank, and he's timing when the security guards are coming in and all that. And Ebert's problem with that is that Steve McQueen is like, he's in the building across the street on the second story window with it open, where everyone on the street could see him with this telescope looking in, you know? And he's got a point. He's right. But you're either going to go with it or not, you know?
Yeah. No. So, anyway, I was watching Superman, and I've kind of been debating in my head. We've talked a lot about Spider-Man 2 and how Sam Raimi created kind of like a perfect movie. I'm always debating, like, Which one do I like better as a superhero movie? Spider-Man 2 or Superman? Because I think technically Spider-Man 2 is the better movie. It's like all the scenes work. The effects still look really good. You know, some of them look a little dated, but they're still really good for what they are. Character's great. It's an excellent point in the Spider-Man timeline of when he's got all this stress and all these responsibilities going on, and he's having trouble with it, and he's just trying to do the right thing, and he's really having a hard time deciding what he wants to do with his life. It's a really fun, well put together thing. The original Superman movie has a couple of moments that haven't aged too well. And I'm not really talking about effects. It's just like questionable scenes. There's this scene where Superman does the interview with Lois Lane, and then they go out for a fly. And then Lois Lane has got this inner monologue, and she's basically writing poetry.
Yeah.
Everything is rhyming, and it goes on for like 3-4 minutes. Her just fantasizing about Superman and talking to him in her mind, and like I just want to like cut that out of the movie.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like superhero moments, I think all my favorite superhero moments are from that first Superman movie. When he first appears and like catches Lois Lane and then catches the helicopter, and the whole like, don't worry, I've got you. You've got me. Who's got you? And then like he saves her, and the music is going, that Superman theme. And at the end of the movie, when the missiles go off in opposite directions, and you know he's got to try to stop the earthquake, and the bus is going off the bridge, and the train's going to go over like the broken track, and the dam's bursting. He's got to save the city. He doesn't fight a supervillain at the end of the movie. It's not like I'm going to punch the other bad guy. All the heroics are him just saving people, like him pushing himself to the limit to just save everybody. And it's a race against time because so many things are going on, and he's trying to do it. And at the end of the movie, he doesn't make it. You know, he gets there, Lois dies, and he can't handle it. And that was his big thing during the movie, is his father told him, like, you can't interfere. You got these powers. You have to let things develop naturally. You know, don't go crazy with your powers and stuff. And he loses it. He can't do it because he wants to be part of this world. That's when he does the whole time shift thing. I think all my favorite moments, that's why I really like the train scene in Spider-Man 2. It's like he fights Dr. Octopus. That's fun too. But when he's just trying to stop the thing to save the people, those are the moments that really get me. Even in like the Wonder Woman movie, when she's running across the field, she's not like beating up the bad guy there. She's just motivating the other soldiers to get up and start running. And that's it. Like Whiplash, you know, shooting all the robots at the end of the Iron Man movie. It's fun, but it doesn't give me that superhero, like, there's a hero doing the hero's work.
Right.
So even though I think Spider-Man 2 is technically a better made, little solid, all those Superman moments, you know, Christopher Reeve as Superman is always going to be like, that's the hero. You can't top that. He was perfect in every way.
Did you ever watch, have you watched any of the extras on Superman on the DVD?
I believe I listened to the commentary, but it's probably been a while.
There are some extras where they're showing, where they didn't have Christopher Reeve yet as Superman. They didn't know who they were going to do it, but they were doing all the testing on how are we going to make a man like look like that he could fly. You know, how is this going to look? How is it going to look natural and all that? And they're showing like all their green screen work and all that. And they're showing it's all with stunt guys who are doing, like, they just needed a body there, you know, to do like just to work out the camera angles and frame the shots and all that. And they're doing like all like the, you know, they got their arms up in the air and legs up and they're coming down and all that. And they all just look so awkward and terrible, you know? And then at some point during the process, they do get Christopher Reeve. And they put him. Now we got Christopher Reeve. We got the guy. They got him, and he's just so natural at doing everything. You know, I don't know if anyone coached him or anything like that, but just how he looked, like, you know, he was such a huge part of, like, that movie was sold on what was their tagline? You will believe a man could fly.
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, if somebody like watched Christopher Reeve and said, you know what, there's our tagline right there.
He is so natural in that. I love the fact that after he saves somebody, he'll stop and go, "Bye," and just give him a smile.
Yeah.
And there's a great scene like early on when he introduces himself. He's like saving a bunch of things, stopping different crimes, and then towards the end, there's a cat in a tree, and he just goes down and he's like, "There's a little girl." He's like, "I'll get him." And he takes the cat down because it's a little girl.
Yeah.
He's all right, bye now. Stay out of trees. And he flies off, and the little girl runs in. It's a great heartwarming moment. She runs into the house, and she's like, "Mommy, Mommy, a man flew down from the sky and saved the cat." And you just hear the mom off screen. "What have I told you about your lies?" Slaps her in the face.
Welcome to the 70s. There you go. I would have to do a fresh watch of both movies to compare them myself, but I do understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it's corny and unrealistic, but that's what I like about Superman. That's the only way he works, is he is the ultimate good guy. Rocket Sauce just said it there. He's supposed to be the Boy Scout.
That's right, yeah.
But there's so much to like about that movie. Even the younger Clark Kent that they got to play him as the high school age, he's got like about 20 minutes of screen time before they cut to Christopher Reeve, and he does a really good job too. Very well cast. He's like facially, you could believe that that's supposed to be a younger version of Christopher Reeve.
I always thought that was a big jump though when they went from young Clark Kent to Superman. It was just like boom, you're super, right into Superman.
He goes to he creates the Fortress of Solitude, and then he's supposed to have been there for a bit.
Right, yeah.
One other thing I'll kind of knock the movie for, he never goes back home. Like, you never see his mom again. He says goodbye to her in the cornfield, like, I'm going off to Metropolis. He never goes back home. They mention her, like he sends her a check, but
yeah. I don't. Doesn't he go back in one of the sequels?
In part 3, they focus on Lana Lane. Lois Lane, Lana Lang, his high school sweetheart.
Oh, okay.
But I don't remember if they show his mom. It's been a long. No, wait, or is that part 4?
I can't remember.
Part 3.
I have them all. I need to rewatch them all, but
I haven't. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen 3, and especially 4. I've got some memories of 4 though. That's a rough movie.
I don't think I've seen all of 4. I remember 3, and 3 gave me nightmares. That like, if you're a kid, you're watching Superman 3, that movie is scary, man. Scary.
As goofy and wacky and bad as some parts are, the ending's really cool. With the metal going on a lady's face.
Creepy. But
there's some fun stuff there.
I need to watch those again.
Okay.
But I've been watching Oscar movies, so that's what I've been doing lately.
I thought you watched most of them already.
Well, I watched most of the nominees for Best Picture, but there are nominees for Best Documentary. You got Best Animated Feature, and then you got all the acting awards as well.
Oh boy! All right.
So let me see. What do I got here? I got. So I think last time we talked, I hadn't watched The Father yet, and that has become my front runner as the best movie out of all the best pictures. So,
okay.
If anyone needs a reminder, let's see here. I watched them all. I watched The Father, which I thought was the best. I watched The Sound of Metal, which was excellent. That's a really good one. That's about the guy who loses his hearing. He's a drummer for an indie rock band, loses his hearing. I watched Judas and the Black Messiah. That is about the Black Panthers in Chicago in the 70s, getting in trouble with the Chicago police. That was a good one. Promising Young Woman. I didn't really care for that much. About this psychotic woman time killer. It just wasn't my thing. I watched Minari, which I thought was pretty good. It's like
what was that one?
So that one is this Korean family moves. It takes place in the early 80s, and this Korean family moves into the United States to live the American dream. Mm-hmm. And he starts. He buys a plot of land out in the Midwest somewhere. I think it's very generic, like Kentucky or something like that. Like it's not. They never specify which state they're in, and he just starts trying to build a farm and build his. And he's on a crappy piece of land because they screwed him over. He's actually like in the tunnel. Right, what do they call it? Like the alleyway for the tornadoes, and they
tornado alley,
right? Tornado alley. That's right. Yeah, and like his wife is just like, what the heck are we doing here and all this stuff. But they got a really good child actor in the movie. That's kind of why I'm curious if Richard sees it, if he'd like it, because I don't know, the kid does well, and grandma comes over to stay with them. It's a nice movie. It's a nice little movie. It's kind of like Little House on the Prairie in a way, but not as wholesome, But I thought it was.
You said that was like immediate interest right there. It's like Little House on the Prairie.
I loved that show when I was a kid, and I'd be curious to go back and watch it again.
A few years ago, I watched like the pilot, the original movie, and it's pretty darn good.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
Yeah.
Mank was terrible. That's about the writer, the guy who wrote Citizen Kane. I couldn't even look or hear the movie well because of all the stupid effects that they put in the film to make it look like an older movie. They had like this weird echo. They wanted it to make it seem like you're in this old theater. So that one wasn't very good. And was it Trial of Chicago 7? That one was good as well. That's Sacha Baron Cohen. Those are all good. Watched I think we watched most of the animated ones. The best one out of the bunch that I thought was really good was a movie called Onward. I think I talked about that last time. It's about
that's the one. Oh yeah, you mentioned it. See if I can remember it.
They're in like a fantasy world, but it's like a modern fantasy world. Like they used to do
the legs.
Yes,
walking legs.
Dad. So he brings his dad back from the dead, but he screws up the spell halfway through, so only the dad's legs are walking through the movie. It was good. It was really good. We tried watching something called Over the Moon. It's the only movie I haven't finished yet. I'm not going to finish it. Actually, it was kind of it just wasn't for me. It was one of those kids movies that was really goofy and really over the top and really predictable, and I'm just not the target audience for it. So I didn't finish that one.
They make so many of those animated kids movies now. Like in a given year, how many animated movies do you have? Like over 30?
A crazy amount. But they make a ton of dough, right?
Yeah, my kids find all these things on Netflix, and I'm like, wow, just the number, and then they got all sequels. Like, when did this stuff come out?
Yeah,
I remember back years ago when you'd get like one Disney animated movie a year, and that was like that. And then if you got anything else, like from Fox or some other studio that put something together, it was like, wow, big year for animated movies.
Well, you remember too, like there was for a while there in the 80s, they weren't coming out with any movies. Like you'd get one.
Disney had the slump until like to the late 80s, like Little Mermaid, Lion King, that kind of era.
That was the comeback, and then they would come out with one a year. But for the most part, I remember when I was a kid, it was all the older movies that were brought back into theaters. Like, we're bringing back Snow White, we're bringing back Cinderella.
Right, right.
So I remember, what was it? The Mouse Detective, Greatest Mouse Detective. I remember seeing that.
That's
when I was
great.
a kid.
That's great. 1999. That was kind of late. Iron Giant came out. So that's when you started getting like lots of great other like non-Disney ones.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember that we watched some wolf movie last night. I can't remember the name of it.
Teen Wolf?
No, it was like a cartoon wolf. Let's see.
Wolfie
I don't know
Wolf.
why I'm trying to look at my notes. I'll just look at the Oscar nominated list on the. My notes are worthless. Let's see. Animated
Yeah.
feature.
Sarah.
Wolfwalkers.
Buy it now before it goes back in the vault.
Yeah. That was
Oh,
Disney's
God.
thing. So stupid. Hey, Deke is in here. Hey, Deke. He's laughing out loud at us. We are so hysterical. Wolfwalkers. Yeah, we watched that last night. It was pretty good. It was different animation. 2D animation had like its own unique style in that. But it's about this little girl who, it takes place in medieval times, and like they're in like this medieval fort thing, and they're trying to expand into the forest, and there's a bunch of wolves in the forest, and every time they try to go in there, the wolves kind of kick them out. So the king's getting annoyed, and he tries to keep upping his stakes in there, and then he has to go fight some war or something like that. So he leaves like this guy in charge who's like supposed to get. He's like, when I come back, I want all the wolves out of there. And then it turns out like his daughter makes friends with the wolves and becomes the whole thing. But it was really good, really well done. It's not the most original thing, but it was executed well. And then we've been watching the documentaries. Now, there's been some really good documentaries. So we watched one. I talked about this on Bill's show, Collective, and it's about. It takes place in Romania, and it's about a fire that broke out in a. It's the same thing as that story from a White Lion. Remember the band White Lion, and they were playing in this small club, and they had some pyrotechnics go off in the small club, and the place caught on fire, and they didn't have enough exits. Like they didn't have the proper exits. And had too many people in the building, and so when the place caught on fire, but some kids died, and had burn injuries and that because they couldn't get out of the building fast enough. Well, the same thing happened in Romania. This was like in 2015. Same thing. They're all packed in. Pyrotechnics go off. The place catches on fire. Not enough exit. They try to get out. Great White. Sorry, there's too many bands in the 80s with the word lion and white.
I was gonna say the only thing I know about White Lion is they did the Transformers the movie theme.
Too many bands. Okay, so it was Great White. Once Bitten, Twice Shy. Is that their song? I thought it was someone else. Okay, anyways. So same thing happens in Romania. 60 kids die.
Ooh.
And then a week later, 80 kids. And then a week later, 90 kids. And it goes all the way up to 120 kids that died. Now, 60 kids died in the fire. But what these other kids died from was their burns. And they went to the hospital to get treated, and they got treated, but they all got infections at the hospital. And once you get these infections, that's it. You're done. It gets into your bloodstream. There's nothing they can do for you. So they do an investigation and everything, and they find out that all of the hospitals in Romania they're disinfected from one source. And this one source is, of course, run by the mafia. And the mafia is they get the disinfectant from outside of Romania. They bring it into their building. They dilute it 8 times over before selling it back to the hospital for a huge profit. And, it's mostly water that they're using to disinfect. So all these kids got these infections and died. So it was a huge scandal in Romania. They put this intern government in for a year just to fix this problem. And the amount of access that the camera crew and everything got was really interesting. They got right in there with the new minister of health, and it was good. It was really good. So that was a good one. It's called Collective. Check that one out. We watched Crypt Camp. It's about this camp for crippled children that started in the 1950s, and ran through until the 70s. And it's really about, the title of the movie is a little misleading because it's really about this revolution's the wrong word, but it's like, it was like a rights movement, like a civil rights movement for disabled people, where all these kids got together, and they kind of felt like as if they were alone before, like they had all these problems in that, like colostomy bags or whatever it is, issues that they were going through. And they come to this camp and they realize that there's a bunch of other people who are having the same problems they are. So through that, they band together, and throughout the next 20, 30 years, disability activists. As look, Sarah should be really on this show as the fact. It's really about them for the next 30 years banding together and forcing governments and businesses and companies and in America to make things accessible for wheelchair people and people with disabilities. So I remember as a kid, like stuff coming in, like the bank has to redo their front sidewalk because there's no wheelchair access, and they're putting that in and all that stuff. And I remember that stuff as a kid, but never really, understood like how much these people actually had to go through in order to get those changes made. It's really incredible. And you really take it for granted now, not right now, but before now. Like you'd go to the mall and you would just like, there's, you could press a button and it'll open the door for the wheelchair people, and just, oh yeah, that's always been there, because it's kind of always been there, but it really hasn't. Like people really had to fight in order to get those things done.
Right.
So
that was cool.
So that was a good one. We watched last night or the night before another one called The Mole Agent, and this one's it's from somewhere in South America, Argentina or something like that, or Chile or something. One of those Latinx, whatever countries. So this person hires this detective to investigate the old age home that her mother's staying in, because she wants to make sure that the old age home is actually providing care for her mother, proper amount of care. So this agency hires this old man to go into as a detective and take notes and everything, and find out if this person's mother is actually being looked after. And what he finds out is really interesting, and it's really Santiago, there again, Sarah with the facts. Santiago, Chile is where the movie takes place from.
You should have Sarah keep notes for you.
Yeah, really. I mean, come on, Sarah. Just give me your notes.
You don't need to, because she's here holding your hand the entire time.
Just leave her in the chat. It's all good. Anyways, it was interesting what he finds out. He finds out what the real problem is, and it's loaded with a bunch of funny stuff, because the guy is trying to. It's like the guy is like 84. He has all of his marbles, but he's 84. And, he's trying to get him to use like an iPhone to go in there and do his reports, right? So the guy's supposed to be stealth, and he's talking to the guy, okay, I'll send in my report later. And he has like the phone on speaker, and anyone who could walk by could just hear whatever it is he's saying. Yes, we want you in the chat. Very good. Stay there, Sarah. You're all good. It's all good. We watched My Octopus Teacher, which was it was pretty good. It was about this guy who he goes not deep sea diving, I don't know, scuba diving in this little shallow, I'm not sure where the heck he was, but he was in like this part of the ocean, and it was, a violent part of the ocean, but it was protected by this kelp forest, they call it. It's like these big kelp things. So there's like a lot of natural wildlife in this one area. You go underwater and there's just tons of wildlife under there. So he goes under there and dives, and he befriends an octopus in there. And it's just about like, we Sarah and I have had fish for like 20 years, and over the course of the 20 years, we probably had like 6 or 7 different fish. And I tell you, they're goldfish, but they all have different personalities. They all like do things differently. They all have like their own thing. So that's basically what this guy discovers. He goes in there and he discovers that this octopus is actually, very intelligent, and actually you can befriend, something like this. And something that you wouldn't think is that intelligent is actually highly intelligent. It doesn't interfere or anything like that with the process that goes on, and it's just really interesting, and he kind of learns a lot about himself.
The titles of every one of these documentaries sounds like a kid's film.
They're not very good titles. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
My octopus teacher, the
yeah.
mole agent. I'm just picturing how these would appear in kids' form.
Like Collective makes sense when you see the movie because that was the name of the club where all this, like where the fire happened. Okay.
Mhm.
And Collective, they all collectively got together to fight, this thing. So that one makes sense. But Crypt Camp is very misleading. You think it's just like I started watching the movie and it's about these kids in this camp. And after 5 minutes, I'm like, how are they going to stretch this out into an hour and a half? Because it's like, you get it. They went to this camp and they all got together, but then it gets into, the whole Disability Act. And, so then it starts making sense, but really they should have got that in the title somewhere. So finally, the last one we watched was a movie called Time. And it's about this, this couple, a black couple in Louisiana who in the late 90s committed armed robbery. They tried to rob a bank. They were trying to run their own store. The store was bleeding money. They had this dumb idea. They were in their 20s. They had this dumb idea that they're going to rob a bank and that's going to, solve all their problems. They're going to be able to pay all their bills and all that, and save the store and all that. And just a bunch of rich people will lose a little bit of money. Well, they got caught because they weren't really good at it. And because they were black, of course, because she had her kids and all that, she got a few years in prison, but they sent him away because he fought it. He didn't take the plea deal for 13 years in prison, and they ended up giving him 60 years in prison.
Yikes.
60 years in prison. So it's about them fighting to get him out of this deal in racist Louisiana. So good luck with that. But it's an interesting movie, interesting story the woman has.
So basically for him, the sentence is life in prison. In his 20s, being put away for 60 years.
Yeah. Now they don't get into like what actually happened. I don't know if anyone got hurt or anything like that. I keep meaning to look into that to see but I don't think that happened. I don't know. Who knows? But anyways, watch the movie. I recommend all the documentaries. They were really well done. Which one wins? Whatever. I don't really have a dog in the race. I thought they were all pretty well done.
Well, documentaries tend to be a higher batting average than most films. Like when you get a bunch of documentaries, those are passion projects. They're a lot of work. It's a lot of, sitting around and waiting for something to happen, or trying to get the right thing, tracking somebody down, looking for information, and then editing all this content into like a cohesive story.
Hours and hours and hours of content into 1 hour and 90
years
90
of
minutes.
production. They might be filming for several years and planning everything ahead. So in general, you watch a documentary, you're usually not disappointed by one. Yeah, there can be some bad. There can be some bad ones when people don't approach them the right way. But for the most part, they should focus a lot more on the documentaries getting these awards because there's so much more work that goes into them. And you generally leave after watching a documentary with a little bit of knowledge in your head and kind of a position of like, where would you stand, in this kind of situation?
Yeah. And the other bonus is that they're usually pretty short. Like all these movies were like 82 to 90 minutes. None of them went on for 2 hours. So, there's the good ones understand how much heavy a person can take, Yeah.
Yes. That's important.
But I think that's why they get their own category, because they're in a league of their own. And that's part of what I like about the Oscar nomination process. It's like basically here's 5 documentaries, check out these 5, and they're all really worth watching.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about the best animated category. I know it's become a big thing over the years, but it just feels like you can create any category. Once you have enough of a subgenre, all right, we'll throw an award for that.
Yeah, I mean, they're going for a different audience. Like really best picture, when you think about it, best picture for a year, it's really just the best drama. None of these movies are in any other genre. They're all just dramas.
Yeah,
You don't get a comedy, you don't get an action, you don't get anything. They're just really the best drama, which I
pretty
kind of
much.
think it's kind of stupid. It's kind of lame, because
Well,
I think in order to make someone laugh, I put as much um, what's the word I'm looking for? Not faith, but I give as much credit for a 90-minute movie that can make you laugh as one that can portray some drama. I get it.
yeah.
It's more work acting wise to convey emotion in a drama than instead of just being the goofy guy it can make it. But I think it's really hard work to make a comedy work for 90 minutes.
It is difficult. I mean, getting a laugh, comedic timing is not an easy thing. You can watch a bunch of terrible stand-ups, people like open mic night, get up on stage. Here comes Cliff Clavin. There's all this work that goes into it. You gotta know how to read the audience. You gotta know how to deliver your line in just the right way, and when to move on and when to go back and reference it. But movies are all about, creativity, telling stories, and getting people engaged. But you put the talented people in the process of making the movie, but all the studio people, they're not terribly creative.
No.
And the vast majority of people around the world are probably not creatively minded people. Like, they go to work, they pay their bills, they sit down, they watch the news at the end of the day. I think it's hard for them to relate to something like The Thing or some other kind of weird creative storytelling. Anything that's about like lawyers, doctors, just kind of like flat. Even something like Castaway, which is a good movie, but it's kind of relatable for non-creative people. It's like, if I were stuck on an island, I can get behind that. But then you give them like a complicated movie with like science fiction, horror elements and stuff. They're like, oh, okay, it is what it is. So that flat drama.
Yeah. Well, that's why, like, what's on television all the time in prime time? Cops, doctors,
CSI.
lawyers. Cops, doctors, lawyers. That's all you get. Because, and I get it, not everyone has a really simple job. You come home, you're tired after working all day. You got to make supper, put the kids to bed, and then you just want something real, like, that's just not going to make you think too much, so you can, go to sleep and get up and do it again the next day. So I get it. Not everyone's going to be into, the most complicated. But for someone like me, I really enjoy television. I really enjoy watching things and that. So I enjoy getting a little more out of it. Not that like other stuff can be fun, but when it comes to like those kind of shows or whatever, that's just the same thing. Like, I've seen it. That's my problem really with a lot of this stuff is like really like over the moon. It's probably a fine movie, but I sit there and I'm watching it and I can just see all the beats. Like, I've seen this movie so many times before. I don't really need to sit there and watch it again. Whereas like that wolf one, what the heck was it called? What did Sarah call it again?
Wolfwalkers. Even I know.
That one was kind of had like the same thing where, but it had a charm to it. You're watching it and you're enjoying the characters and that. So I don't know. Anyways, I get it. I'm on everyone's side. That's what I'm saying. All right. What do we want to talk about now?
I don't know. I forget what I put in here.
I feel like I've been talking for a while, so you should say something now.
The reason I watched Iron Man 2 was not because I wanted to continue the MCU universe. I'm just not terribly excited to jump to the next one. But I had watched a movie called Cowboys and Aliens, which sounded really stupid.
Yep.
And I was watching it and I was like, you know what? This is a stupid idea. It could be fun. But I was getting really interested in, like, I like the opening shot. Like, you get it's like a flat vista of the West, and then Daniel Craig pops up on screen and he's got this thing on his arm. And it's like, oh, okay. That was a nice shot. I started appreciating the filmmaking that was going on, the camera placement, good sound design, lots of clever things, fun characters, Sam Rockwell. I was like, hey, wait a minute.
Right.
This is a Jon Favreau movie. And I watched it, and it kind of loses traction a bit towards the end, but overall is a fun movie. It's got some interesting things. Really nice UFO scenes where it's just light and sound, things coming over the town. Harrison Ford kind of phoned it in, or maybe he's just weak. I don't know. But overall, not a bad movie. And then I realized, I haven't seen all of Jon Favreau's movies, but the ones I have seen, I always enjoy.
Are you becoming a fanboy?
I am.
All right.
He tends to go from pretty good with some good ideas and nice shots and nice moments to being a very good movie, like an Iron Man. And I don't know how you feel about Elf, but I really like Elf. I think
Elf is good.
A great Christmas movie.
I don't know, great, but it's good.
It's great. It would be in my top 10.
There's not many Christmas movies.
There you go. It would be in my top 10.
Might be in mine because I don't think I've seen 10 Christmas movies.
But yeah, I was like, what else has he done? So I looked at his filmography. He's only done about 9 movies as a director. And the ones that I have seen, I was like, yep, like that one. Yep, that one's pretty good. Yeah, that one's all right. Everything gets a thumbs up for me. So I decided I would watch the rest of his movies. So I watched Iron Man 2 again. I was like, yeah, that's okay. I watched his first movie, which is called Made. It's him and Vince Vaughn as these boxers who get mixed up in kind of a mafioso kind of thing where they got to go make a drop, some money off here or there. And I don't like Vince Vaughn. I don't like Vince Vaughn at all. But I'm watching the movie, and it's the same thing. It's like, you know what? This movie has its problems, but it's pretty good. There's some really nice shots here. There's some nice character moments, nice setup and payoff. I actually didn't mind Vince Vaughn too much in the movie. It would be great if they had a fader, if you could just tone down his scenes a little bit. Because there are a couple of moments.
Off position.
Well, sometimes you want that hard cut. There are a couple of moments where he lets him go on. Is enough. Just come on. But yeah, I've seen he did right after. One thing I'm really impressed with him is right after he did Iron Man, then he had to do Iron Man 2, contractual thing, $200 million movie. His next movie, Chef, little $10 million, somewhat independent-ish movie, which was also really good.
Oh, you watched it?
Yeah, I saw that years ago.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't have a third act, but is still really enjoyable.
It's on my list. It's on my Netflix list.
I just came back up on Netflix, and I think I'm going to watch it again. Which made me wonder, I've seen a lot of directors start small and then go into the big time. But do you ever see them go back down again by choice?
Oh, yeah.
They usually stay up, but
No,
I mean...
No. A lot of times they have to do the big pictures, right? In order to get the money to do the stuff that they really want to do. They got to get... if they Spielberg, if he wants to make Amistad, right? He's got to do he's got to okay another release of E.T.
Yeah, but even that, even a Spielberg low level drama is still a big budget $100 million movie. He gets.
Yeah, but it's not not something that would get approved easily without Spielberg with that kind of budget.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I thought it was really interesting that he was able to do all these different movies, because all of his movies seem to bounce between genres. You got a crime, drama, comedy, family holiday movie, kids movie, big budget superhero movie, little independent-ish movie. But towards the end, I haven't seen these. I guess he's locked into Disney now, because he did some of those live action Disney movies, and now he's doing the whole Mandalorian thing.
Right.
So it looks like the corporations lured him in, and then they got him locked up. Because even though he didn't direct other Iron Man movies, he's been like executive producer on a bunch of those, which I don't know if he's doing anything. Or if he's
it's like Spielberg; they just pay you for the
Yeah.
name, kind of thing, you know.
Yeah. But no, I like him as a director, and I think he has probably got the potential to someday deliver like a really excellent, like a really solid, perfect movie in the $50 to $100 million range. Like if he got just the right actors, just the right story, his directing style, I think he could like make a home run.
He didn't do that with Iron Man already.
Iron Man's a really good movie, but it's not perfect. You know, it's really good.
No, it's not.
But I mean, like one of those, wow, what a great movie. That's the total package. I'd like to see him deliver one of those.
Like Scorsese, there's a guy who, I mean, he does have a genre, but like he doesn't really do too many big, huge budget films.
Well, he doesn't go in for all that fancy modern technology. I mean, he did that with The Irishman with all the de-aging.
Yeah, that was that was more of a way of getting around how old these guys are.
Yeah, but yeah, he does character pieces, you know, the people.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of sick of Jon Favreau for absolutely no reason.
Yeah, I don't know
just
why.
Like everything he's like really popular, his name is attached to it. I'm just kind of sick of it. I never liked the movie Swingers. That's where he came in, right? So right off the Swingers was it was him and Vince Vaughn. He didn't direct it, but I believe they both co-wrote it. And that movie was like, hey, you got to see Swingers. It's like it's like, oh, you like Clerks and you like, any sort of independent 90s film. You got to see Swingers. And I watched it and I don't know, it made me want to throw up. So I wasn't really into it.
Then you probably shouldn't watch his first movie because it's a lot of him and Vince Vaughn just ripping off each other.
He got off on the wrong foot with me. And then, he came up with Iron Man and that, and I'm like, okay, yeah, fine or whatever. But I'm just kind of like, there's a lot of things with The Mandalorian that I think is pretty terrible, but everyone seems to be okay with it because they just want Star Wars back in their life. So to me, he's just not he's not as perfect as everyone. So he's fine. Honestly,
I don't think he's
fine.
Perfect,
I got no problems with him. It's just that other people want to put him up on that pedestal, and for some reason, I just want to knock him down because it's just like he's not perfect. He's fine.
You're not perfect, so get down.
Get down. Okay, be humble. Okay, like people have this impression that whatever he does, he's just going to fix it, right? Like, oh, there's problems with I don't know whatever series. We'll get Jon Favreau in there and Star Trek or whatever, and he's going to find the magic sauce and fix it all. They got the same with that guy, the guy who did do Star Wars and Star Trek. What's his name?
J.J. Abrams?
Yeah, J.J. Abrams. Anything he touches, the guy is terrible. He's such a he's a hack. Now that guy I can't stand. J.J. Abrams is awful. Jon Favreau's okay. He's fine. Nothing wrong with him.
He's fine. I think you probably would enjoy Chef. And then there's like some other chef show that kind of spun off of that's like a real cooking show.
Oh, really?
So I think it's on Netflix. I haven't seen it, but him and like a pro chef, and they just cook and talk.
Well, you know how Netflix has that recommendation percentage, right? In the corner, like it's like, oh, you're going to love this 99%. Chef is always there. Like Netflix is always trying to push Chef onto me. It's like, you're going to love Chef. Get to the Chef already. So I'm like,
good movie.
All right. It's on the list. So
like I said, structurally, it doesn't seem to ever have that big trouble at the end. It just kind of, for me, it was like there's a little bump to get the first act going, and then it just continues. And everything is just fun and fine. And it makes you feel good.
All right, what did you want to say about Wanted from 2008?
Oh, do you know that movie?
I watched the both. Okay, I have. Oh, look at this. Watch this.
I'm going to be so amazed if you pull a copy of that movie out.
Something better. Look at that. That's for Rocket Sauce right there. That is the original Mark Miller graphic novel, if you
Wow.
will, of Wanted.
Yeah, I saw it was like based on a comic, but I never heard of that.
Yeah, and the comic is pretty good. Like this, well, I mean, I bought it because I, I enjoyed it, and I'm not a big Mark Miller fan, but I thought he did well with this one. And then I watched about 15 minutes of the movie. It made me want to throw up, so I stopped it.
It is the one with Angelina Jolie and
Yeah,
that one. Oh
yeah,
man, I was pleasantly surprised with that
really.
movie. Yeah. Well,
Maybe
I
I
was
need
expecting. I didn't know anything about it. It was just one of those nights where I don't want to watch this. I don't want to watch this. I don't want. All right, wine, whatever. Just click something at random and just let fate decide what I'm going to watch.
Yeah.
And I expected this because I remember the trailer of like, oh, just bend the bullet, people looking cool, and
Yes. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
swinging their arms, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah. Yeah.
somehow swinging your arm like this will change physics, and
Right.
allow the bullet to come out of the chamber and just go whoop all around somebody's
Sure.
head.
Why not?
Why not?
That's how it
And I
works.
was expecting just like bland, generic, dumb, stupid action movie. And then I was surprised to see that it was kind of a comedy. And they took it in a very silly way. They knew the idea was dumb, so they just had fun with it. And there were moments in the movie where I was just laughing out loud. I thought it was so funny. And other moments it kind of dips back down into the, all right, this isn't that great. Overall, I gave it a positive review. That's like, I enjoyed my time enough watching that. That was silly, good fun. I think if they had taken it as a serious movie, it would have been just mediocre garbage, but they were smart enough to turn it into a comedy, and that gave it a little like boop on the heart monitor. I'm just like, okay, I can do this.
Okay. I didn't realize it was a comedy. So maybe that was it. Maybe they were trying to be funny, and I don't know. I can't remember. It was so long ago I tried to watch it. So
Yeah. I was just, it was like a pleasant surprise. I wasn't expecting that, and then it got more creative than I thought it would.
So that's the one where
it still doesn't make any sense.
What was it? He gets accidentally recruited, right, into like a super villain layer.
His father was like one of those guys. Like it's some genetic thing that how to make bullets spin in circles.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah.
Some people are born with this magic ability to bend bullets.
Yeah.
And it's not like, I don't know, I guess you have to develop the skill, kind of. They don't really, not really. It's pretty stupid. You have the power to make bullets spin in circles.
Yeah.
And then they knew like he had that power too. So they recruit him and they teach him how to bend bullets. And then they shoot bullets in circles. And there's a really silly moment at the end that made me laugh.
Why not? Why not?
Well, it was better than just people looking cool and walking around and being serious the whole time.
With some music and explosions happening.
Yeah, that generic cool.
A movie like that I enjoyed a lot more was Kick-Ass. That was I like that one.
I've heard about that, but I've heard people like it, and I've heard a lot of negative things about it.
It's very polarizing movie. Either love it or hate it, I think. And I'm in the I love it category. I even like 2. I like part 2 as well.
I heard it was like, all I heard, and this is something I had a problem with that Wolverine movie, Logan.
Yeah.
Little kid versus adults.
I'm just thinking now, there is a young girl in that movie, and you're probably not going to appreciate her at all.
I've heard she's got a very foul mouth, and she, gets into like fist fights with grown adults and wins. And, like, it's supposed to be a comedy though, right?
Well, yeah, it is. And that's another Mark Miller comic. So there you go. There you go. Look at that rocket sauce right there. Yeah, you're right. And now I'm thinking about it. You probably wouldn't like it at all, but I liked it a lot. Yeah, no, and she does. But I mean, she's a superhero, right? That's the idea, is that she's a superhero.
Does she have like superpowers, or is it just people that wear costumes? And
she's got like the knowledge, of how to take people down in that.
Okay.
So
you do need some physical ability in real life, though.
Well, she can move, right?
Okay, she can move.
So, how about we talk about
knees and toes?
How about we talk about some video games for a little bit? Short talk about video games because we're going to be talking about some short games that I've been playing. So, as I mentioned before, I got 3 months of Xbox Game Pass for $1.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I've been trying all these games and these big AAA titles, and none of them has been speaking to me. And then I played Day of the Tentacle, even though I already have it on Steam. I said, what the heck, just play something on here. And I really enjoyed my time with that. So that got me into looking at more short games, and I've been really enjoying myself. So I finally got to Full Throttle, played through that. Mm-hmm. That was a lot of fun.
You did enjoy it?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was it was funny.
When I talked about it, you said you heard that was like a weaker.
Yeah, well, I heard that there was a part in the game where you just can't get past. Like there's like a game breaking section. But when I played through it, I could not find what that was.
There was one when I played. It was the junkyard puzzle with the crane.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I think it was a glitch in the game. That dog always kept coming out.
You had to put...
You meet in the car, dog goes in the car,
right?
Lift up the car,
right?
Dog's out of the way.
Right.
I would do that, but every time I go back to the next screen, the dog would still keep coming. So I had to like relaunch the game.
I did. Oh, I didn't have to relaunch the game. I did had to leave. Yes, you know what? Come to think of it, that did happen to me. But what I had to do was I had to leave the junkyard. I got out of the junkyard and then went back in, and that kind of reset the dog.
But how could you leave the junk?
You go.
Oh, instead of going across the field, you went up top.
Yep, you can go back up top, and then you can exit out, and then go back into the junkyard, because you can exit
and go through the front door.
No, up and over the wall.
You go up over the wall, but then do you jump back down into the field, or do you go outside and then walk through the open door?
No, you go outside and then walk up over the wall again.
Yeah, see, that's what I did.
You got that route. You get that rope, because you can go. Yeah. You can go into that junkyard, even if you don't have the meat, right?
Yeah.
I completely missed that. So you go into a guy's house, and you have to trick him to get inside this house. And when I went inside the house, I looked around, mm-hmm. and I looked at everything, and I'm like, okay, get whatever I want. And then I didn't know where to go next, right? So I'm mm-hmm. looking around and poking around, and I went into that junkyard, and I'm like, I don't know what the hell to do here. I don't know how to get rid of this dog or whatever. So I looked it up on a walkthrough because I was completely lost. And in that guy's house is a refrigerator, yeah. with the meat in it. So I went mm-hmm. back into there, and I looked at, to me, that whatever that was did not look like a refrigerator to me at all. Yeah. You had to put your cursor over it and see, oh, that's something I can interact with. So I didn't even pick up on that. So
yeah, that is how they do that in point and click games is always very important, because there are some games I've played where the item you're looking for is like a pixel, and yeah. you gotta like just keep going over.
Yeah.
And I've had times where I get completely stuck, look at a walkthrough and say, oh, well, put this in the thing. I'm like, well, where's the thing?
Right.
You're like, oh, okay. So there are some games that allow you to press a button and everything that's interactive will highlight.
Yeah.
Which is nice, but it's also, I don't like it because it's kind of cheating in a way. I like to look around. I think one game which is actually coming up free on Epic very soon, all those Deponia games looks like they're going to be free.
Oh, nice.
Coming up in the next week.
Free stuff.
But one thing I like they did in that game is when you first hover over something, I I don't know if it was all these games, but there'd be like a question mark.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't immediately tell you what it is. So you can just go click on it, then you know what it is, and then you can start thinking about it. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you liked Full Throttle. There was some fun stuff in there.
Yeah, I thought it was a funny game, and some of the stuff was like a little confusing, but once you thought about it or whatever, I didn't want to rely too much on a walkthrough, but there were a few times where to get past the minefield, I'm like, how the hell do I get past the minefield? And I got one rabbit and I put the rabbit in the thing and the rabbit started going and it exploded. I'm like, okay, good. I got rid of the mine. I start walking across. I'm like, what the heck? Or he wouldn't walk. He wouldn't keep going forward or something stupid like that. Anyway.
Well, you had a whole box of them.
Yeah, you had to go get a box.
Put them out. I'm like, okay, I got the box, and then boom, 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 boom.
Yes.
All right, here I go, and then forget it. You gotta pick them up.
Put the box down and then pick them up so you can put them one at a time. Yeah, there's a lot of. I hate it when puzzles have steps like that when they're not obvious. No.
The one part of that game that I found really confusing, and I still don't know how I got through it, is when you're riding through like the canyons.
Yeah.
With the other bikers, and you have to do the fighting.
Yeah.
And you're looking for this entryway. I'm not really sure how I did it. I got there eventually, but I'm not sure if it was by accident or if I actually just did something and didn't realize what I was supposed to have done. And you pick up different weapons to get into the secret base.
Yeah. So eventually you work your way up to getting a board. Mm-hmm. And there's one of those biker guys who can go really fast, and you can't hit him with anything like the chain or chainsaw or your fists or anything because he's too far, like he's too fast, right? But if you got a board, you can knock him off the bike, and then from that you get his glasses, his special glasses,
right,
which allows you to see the entranceway, and then that's how you get into the.
Yeah, I was fuzzy. I was just doing like, okay, let me try again, and then suddenly I was there.
Yeah.
I totally missed how it happened.
I remember something there that pissed me off too. Was it's just something simple. It wasn't even a puzzle really. You get into that area, and you're looking for a way to get over this gorge. So you need to soup up your bike and have a bunch of super stuff, and you need to grab the ramp, right?
Yeah.
So I got into the room where the ramp is, and then you got to hook the ramp up to your bike. So I would go in and I would push the ramp over to the bike. Then I'd get on the bike and I'd drive away and the ramp would stay there. And I'm like, what the hell? So I'd go back and the ramp had reset. So I go in, I push the ramp, I get on my bike and drive away and the ramp would still be there. I'm like, what is going on here? And then so go back in, push the ramp, get on the bike, drive away. I'm like, how the hell do you get this ramp on? And finally, there's an extra thing where you got to hook it. There are
guys chasing you, right?
They're coming in, right? But this is all like before that.
Of just connecting it.
Just connecting the thing. There's an extra step there. And, sometimes I'm tired and I need to go to bed and stop trying. It was one of those situations where I got to stop the game. Then I come back to it later. And it's like, oh, dummy, you got to hook the bike up to the ramp and then he can drive away with it. But
Good
the way
night's
the
sleep
animation
will get you through a lot of game puzzles.
But the way the animation looked, it places the ramp perfectly behind the bike, so it looks like it's like ready to go, but it's not. So I played through that. I played through a game called Tourists with a Y instead of an I, and it was a cute little game. It has like the aesthetic of Minecraft, where it's all like blocky characters and that, but it kind of plays more like Zelda, but not as much back and forth stuff and no sword play kind of thing. It's more just like you're a tourist on all these little islands, and you go on the island and there'll be like some surfer dudes on the island, and if you go and you do their surfer dude tricks and all that, they'll get you you'll eventually work your way into getting more tourist guides that you can go give to this boat captain, and he'll take you to a new island, and then the new island opens up and there's more more to explore and all that. So I was having a lot of fun with that one. It kind of gets a little crazy with the platforming. Because it starts off like you're playing like a Zelda game. You don't really have to do too much platforming, or if any platforming at all in a Zelda game. But then like it'll throw some curves at you where you got to like jump through this mine and land on all these little platforms and collect all these gems and everything and get all the way to the bottom. It's stuff you don't really necessarily have to do in order to finish the game, but if you want to get all those achievements to unlock, you got to do all that stuff. But there was one part where you had to do some platforming that was really frustrating that you had to do in order to finish the game, and it kind of like put like these platforms on like an angle like this, but it's like 3D and it moves around, and it was like 8 little platforms that you had to jump around, and it's an isometric game, so you're trying to like figure out how to jump isometrically on, and then you're moving the camera. It's just I hate platforming. It just wasn't my thing, but the game overall was good.
For some reason, your description of the isometric platforms and everything is just making me think of Marble Madness.
Yeah, well, that's what you were jumping on.
How frustrating that game was.
Yeah, that's what you're jumping on are these marbles. It's like these circle, like these globes that you jump on, and you can jump on it once and it lights up. And then you got to go and jump on the other ones and make all the other ones light up. But if you jump on them again, they'll explode and disappear and then just ruin your chance of getting to the other side. It was just a little too much, but I got through it. But forget that. Inside this game, there was an arcade, and you can go inside the arcade and play the little arcade games in there. So they had an arcade game that was like F-Zero, where your hover car kind of thing, and that. Then you walk over to another arcade, and it was Arkanoid, Arcoid or whatever that. Where you got the platform on the bottom and the ball bounces and hits the bricks and comes back down. Yep. And what was the other game? Another game was kind of like you had to collect. It was kind of a platformer where you had a jetpack and you had to collect these sticks of dynamite. And if you collect them in the right order, you get extra bonus points, and these little monsters would come and try to kill you and you can get the power up to kill them instead. So it was sort of Pac-Man-y in a way. But outside of the arcade, there's this kid, and he has all of his high scores on all the machines. And he's like, you got to beat me on all these machines if you want my money. So it was really fun. It was like kind of playing, Beat the Bandy within this game, where this kid put all these high scores on there, and they were really challenging. They were not easy. Like that racing game, you had to be pixel perfect in order to beat his high score to get to like the next checkpoint to run forward and beat his score. That was, and then, man, the Arkanoid one, I was just terrible. I'm always terrible at that game. Like the geometry of it when the ball bounces off the walls, I always miss it. Like it'll be coming towards the the right, and you're moving towards the right, and then it'll just hit the wall and bounce. But then I found out that there was a power up called laser, where if you got that power up, you can just blow up all the bricks up top and fast track to the next stage. So once I figured that out, I was able to beat his high score. So it was fun. It was beat the bandy within a game. I beat the bandy within a game.
Isn't it refreshing to just go play a nice simple game once in a while?
Yeah.
Instead of these big long narratives take 20 hours.
Totally. I mean, it probably took me, 3-4 hours to beat the game. And that's because I went in and I did everything extra. Like I got to the ending probably within 2 hours. And they said, if you keep going, you're not going to be able to go back to the other islands. So I said, you know what? I'm having fun. I'm going to go back to the other islands and have some good times.
I think your time's coming up.
Yeah, I got 10 minutes. So let me, within 10 minutes, just talk about this other game called Carto, I think it's called. Anyways, it's about this this girl. She's in this airship with her grandma, and her grandma shows her all these cards. You got all these cards here on the table, and with these cards, she can actually manipulate the earth below. She can move stuff around. She's kind of like a god or something like that. So grandma goes to sleep, and here's this little kid saying, hey, I'm going to go check out these cards on the table. So you start messing around with them and that. and you accidentally create a huge windstorm because you're a kid and you don't know what you're doing, and it blows you and the cards out of the ship, and you fall to the ground, and the cards are scrambled all over the place. So now it's your job to organize them all again. So it's kind of neat. It's like it's a puzzle game, and you're on the ground and you're walking around and you'll meet some people and all that, and the person will tell you, okay, the thing you need is on the other side of the desert. So if you want the thing, you got to go all the way west across the desert. So you look at what you have, and you only have like 2 desert pieces. Like, what the hell? How am I going to do this? So I put the 2 pieces together. I walk to the end, and that's it. Like, where can I go? So then you're looking at more, and it's like, oh, if I take the piece that I just walked by and put it in front of me, I can keep going, and you keep going, and you do that a few times, and eventually you walk all the way west, and another piece pops up. And so it's a little puzzles like that. It's a fun game. I'm not finished it yet, but I'm having fun with it.
See, now you've gone and motivated me to play a game.
Oh no!
I don't know what I want to play, but I want to play like a nice, simple game.
Yeah, nice, simple games. And like, there's no one to kill. There's no one to fight or anything like that. You're just walking up to people and, hey, go to the library and check out the books. All right, I'll go to the library, check out the books in the library. It's nice, easy little game. I'm just nice and relaxed while I'm playing.
Look at that.
Okay, before we go,
game that doesn't induce stress.
Let me just talk about one thing. The thing that has been captivating me all week long has been the Derek Chauvin trial. That's the guy who crushed George Floyd to death. That the video that went viral and all that. So his trial's been going on right now. Let me tell you, it's fascinating. Fascinating. I haven't like dove deep into like a real trial since the O.J. Simpson one, and that one went on way too long. Hopefully this one doesn't go on for too long. But they had all the body camera footage of all the officers and all that. And as I was watching all that, as they're bringing out all that evidence, it's fascinating too, because they have to get, like, if the officers are okay, they can get it from the police force, but like all the bystanders and that shot footage, they actually have to bring them into court and put them on the witness stand if they want to use any of their footage. If anyone takes a photo or anything like that, they want to use as evidence, they have to bring the person in who shot the photo in order to use it. So like even the coroner, right? They brought in the medical examiner, as I should say, they brought him in, and they had to show him the photos that he took while he did the autopsy, and ask him, like, are these all the photos you took? Yes. Do they accurately represent, what you saw? Yes. And all that. And then they can admit it and bring it into evidence. If the defense doesn't have any sort of objection, then they can bring it in as evidence. Really fascinating process and all that. So anyways, as I'm watching at the beginning of the trial, of course, I'm like, I have an opinion, right? And I'm like, there's no way I can be on the jury at all. Like if I went in and they, tested me if I could be on jury, there's no way. I'm biased. I have an opinion of exactly what happened. So as I'm watching all the body camera footage, their whole thing is that he didn't suffocate. He had a heart attack. Like that's the defense is basically trying to prove that, like, he had so many drugs in his system and all that, that he didn't die because he was suffocated to death. He had a heart attack. He had a heart disease and all that stuff. So as I'm watching all the body cam footage, I'm like, you know what? It's entirely possible that he did have a heart attack. He's freaking out as they're trying to put him in the back of this squad car. And he finally, goes down and he's all like yelling and everything while he's underneath the cops and all that. And I'm like, man, it is totally possible that he had a heart attack. And then as they're presenting the evidence and all that stuff, they bring in the guy, this one expert guy, who is he is like the top guy on suffocating. Like he's written textbooks on the subject. He's got one that's like the gold standard for all the medical doctors. It's like a 1,500 page textbook that all the doctors use. He is the expert. He analyzes all the footage and everything, and he gets it right down. Like he breaks it all down, how the officers basically squashed him to death. Like a lot of people think like because Chauvin had his knee on his neck, like that's how he died. He crushed his neck and he couldn't breathe, but that's not what actually happened. What happened was is that they put all their weight on top of him, and because he was crushed against the pavement, he couldn't he couldn't move his expand his body because they were on top of him. So like when you breathe in, you think, your front,
right, your whole chest expands, yeah.
But the back of your chest expands as well, right? And they've done all sorts of tests and all that to disprove that this theory, but all the tests that they've done are usually on beds. They're on mats. They're with patients who, or the subject basically knows that if there's any trouble, they're going to be, they can tap out basically. And a lot of the weights that they use, the weights are spread out evenly across the body. Whereas the guy shows them, he's like, look, he's on pavement for one thing, so you're getting no give from the pavement. You're getting no give from the officers on top because their weight is not spread out. It is like their knees are on him, right? And they're in these specific parts where he can't breathe. And they're showing him like how he's like naturally trying to do things to get himself to breathe. Like he's hanging on by a knuckle to on the tire of the squad car, to try to give himself some room off of the pavement so he can expand and breathe in. And when that fails, he's like trying to like his hands are handcuffed behind him, and he's trying to like bring them around his body and push up on the pavement, just to get a little bit of that right side up so he can bring some air in. And then when that doesn't work, he actually like turns his face into the pavement in order to get like his head up, to try to get something off of the pavement so he can breathe in. But none of that was happening because they had their entire weight down on him, clamped down on him. And the guy had like everything like to the nanosecond of when George Floyd died. Like he just had it all down. And it was really fascinating. It was really interesting. Today they were with the medical examiner, and I only got about halfway through his cross-examination, but it's funny because the defense is like funny in a sad way. Like the defense is trying, all they have to do is convince one juror that with some doubt, right? They just got to put some doubt in your head. So they're trying their best to put some doubt, but I mean, it's just been, expert after expert coming in and saying the exact same thing about how this guy died. It's just been great, fascinating stuff.
I was feeling pretty good up until about 5 minutes ago, and now,
well, you know what? It's actually
my day is going to be misery.
It's reassuring that as long as the people who are in charge, who are working the court system, really care to do a good job, the system does work. So as long as you are a white guy, it seems like it's going to work out well for you. It's when the system doesn't care about you and doesn't give you, they're going out of their way to give this guy a fair trial when I think it's pretty obvious to everyone what happened. But they got to give.
No way this guy's getting any leniency. They've got the evidence, and they've got the collective support of largely the world.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, the way that this defense attorney is working it, all he's got to do is turn the mind of one person on the jury, and it's a hung jury, right? All they got to do is just convince one person, and I don't know if he's going to get as much as people think, because I mean it's pretty obvious so far that and the defense hasn't even brought their case forward yet, right? This is all just the government. What's the word? There's the defense and the prosecutors. Prosecution. The prosecution this is all just their case so far. And it's fairly obvious that they crushed him to death. But he also had heart disease. He had an enlarged heart. They're going to take all that stuff into consideration. But it's funny too, because all the cops that they're bringing in that are like, they really only have a problem with the end of what happened. But to me, the whole thing was just a friggin' mess. Like, these cops are terrible at their jobs. Like, this guy passed a phony $20 bill, right? He tried to buy some cigarettes with he bought some cigarettes with a phony $20 bill. The kid behind the counter got the bill, and the rule at the store was, if you allow a customer to buy something with a 20 phony bill, whatever the amount is, it comes out of your paycheck, right? So right away the kid gets it, and he can tell it's a fake. But it isn't. He was talking to George Floyd, and he kind of liked him, and kind of could tell that he was on something, and he was just like, you know what, I'll just let this go. And then he thought, well, maybe I should bring it to the boss and let him know. So he brought it to the boss. Hey, this guy passed a fake $20 bill. They're like, go out and bring him back into the store. So they go out, and the guys, George Floyd, is still parked across the street with his two friends were in the car. Well, I don't know, two associates. I don't know if they were friends. But he goes across the street, and George Floyd's, I'm not going in. Not going into the store. Like, well, if you don't come in and straighten this thing out, because if he would have just given back the cigarettes, or given them a real $20 bill, it would have been fine, right? But he's like, no, I'm not coming in. So they had to go in and call the cops and bring the cops over. So these cops show up, and so they go into the store, find out what's going on. The guy's parked across the street. The cops right away, they walk up to the car, right away, guns out. Like, the guy had all of the time in the world to take off, to leave. All the time. He could have, like, if he knowingly passed $20 bill, they think he was arguing with his friend, or acquaintance, who gave him the $20 or whatever. He had all the time in the world to take off. So if he knowingly did something, he would have just left right away. Why would he hang around? He stayed there. So the guy's he's not at a risk to fly away. But right away, they're all like, get the fuck out of the car. And they got their guns out and all that. And they're pulling him out of the car and all that. So after that initial scene, they have George Floyd resting against, there's a restaurant across the street. They have the handcuffs on him. They have him resting across the street. And at no point, or one time, a cop says to him, look, we're going to find out what's going on. And, and then we'll take it from there. Right. Instead, like, his partner comes over. He gets a little bit of rapport with the one cop. Instead, his partner comes over and like, let's get him into the squad car. Let's get him into the back of the car. And George Floyd's like, I don't want to go in the back of the car. I got claustrophobia. I can't go back in there. And they're like, no, buddy, you're going back in there. Meanwhile, they had him on the sitting down, handcuffed already, sitting there. They could have just left him alone, and have the one cop watch him while the other guy goes and finds out what's going on. Because they didn't have all the facts at the time, right? They just knew that there was a $20 bill that was passed, and they wanted to get him. So then they go and they drag him into the thing. They try to get him in there. That's when Chauvin shows up, because he's like the more senior guy or whatever. And, they all try to get him in there. They wrestle with him for a few minutes, trying to get him into the back of the car. He's like, I don't want to get in there because, I can't breathe in there. I'm claustrophobic, can't get in there. So they pull him out.
It's awesome.
Turning into classic film Dangle length. Actually, it's not. We're not even close to that yet. So they pull him out, and then they get him down on his knees. Right? He's like, I'm going down. I'm going down. He gets down on his knees and he says, "Thank you." That was a thing out of his mouth. There was another point right there where they could have just left him there and found out what was going on, or said, "Let's get you onto the side." And at no point does anyone ever say to him, like, "Look, calm down. We're just going to find out what's going on." Because at that point, like, all they got, like, they could just issue him a ticket, show up in court later, because it's not really that serious of a crime. At that point, when they had him down on his knees, that's when they take him and put him down on the pavement and all stomp on top of him. It makes no sense whatsoever. And they stay on top of him until he dies. It's ridiculous. But it's a good trial. I recommend it. Everyone watch it. It's fascinating.
This is the documentary thing. You got to know how much heavy you can tolerate.
Well, I put it early in our list, but you jumped forward because Kyle was here and you wanted to talk about superhero stuff. So yeah. Anyways, I think it's great. It's fascinating.
No, right. I'll definitely check it out. I didn't realize that it already started. I spent about 2 weeks ignoring news and social media. So I had no idea what was going on.
Oh, I don't blame you there, man. Today was a clusterfuck of a day at work, man, because Buddy died. The Queen's husband there, that guy died. And then because the medical examiner was on today, they all wanted the friggin' Chauvin trial. And then DMX, some rapper guy, died.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
He had some a heart attack or something or whatever, or a drug overdose or something, and he was basically on life support for the last couple of days, and he just died today, 50 years old.
Man, I gotta
check
the news out.
Oh no, I just gave you all the news right there. Those were your top 3 stories. Okay, follow the podcast that is more consistent than STC Pod over on Twitter at @retro_Fandango, or no underscore. There's no underscore in there. It's just at Retro Fandango.
At Retro
Fandango. I don't think there's an underscore.
I think there's an underscore.
I don't think it matters.
To everybody who's listening that's already subscribed to us on Twitter.
Yeah.
You already are subscribed to us on Twitter.
There's an underscore. Who has Retro Fandango? Somebody stole that name?
Well, we've had that for like 6 years.
Dina has Retro Fandango. Who the heck
is
Dina?
Tweet at Dina and tell her to give us our Twitter handle.
What's up with that? Come on.
Just tweet that at her. What's up with that?
Get a boner with Retro Fandango. I guess check out Discord. I haven't been on there in a while, so I don't know. If you want to talk about the Chauvin trial, go over there. Or talk about Iron Man 2. Or talk about Jon Favreau. Go over there.
Wow.
That's it. I hope you had fun. I had fun. I have to go eat. I have to go eat now. You ate through this whole thing. Are you eating pretzels?
I am. I got these little pretzel sticks.
I thought you were a health food guy.
There's nothing wrong with pretzels.
There's sourdough bread and salt.
It's tasty.
That they are. We don't disagree.
I like that pretzels come in a variety of different sizes and shapes. Because sometimes you wanted a different kind of pretzel.
Rocket Sauce still wants to do the Kong versus Zilla viewing.
Are we doing that?
We can. We can do it next weekend if you want.
Really?
I think so.
Let me know.
All right. Let us know if you want to do King versus Zilla next weekend.
And find a way to let me know because I don't look at my Twitter that much.
Well, yeah, you still answer the direct messages, don't you?
I ignored everything for about 2 weeks, and I
didn't notice.
Message. Yeah, nobody noticed. I was like, all right, let's see what's going on. Yeah. One message.
I actually haven't been on Twitter much at all either. Like maybe I did do a poll. I did do one poll on Twitter because did you get toys for Easter when you were a kid?
No, and my cousin did, and I was like, she got some kind of toy for Easter. I always got a little basket, chocolate bunny, a couple little snacks, things like that. Maybe you get a little fancy like the Cadbury Easter egg. That was like the gold the gold bar in there. Yeah. No, and then I think once I got like a little wind up like rabbit, and it would like backflip. So my pretzels don't get cold.
That's true, yeah.
But no, I never got toys. And then my cousin, she got like one of those, those like you play catch, but it had like the Velcro ball and the paddle thing.
Yeah,
I was like, you got that for Easter? Yeah. And I kind of commented to some adults or something, and then somebody gave me like a present for Easter. But no, It's basically become mini Christmas, from what I understand, with some people.
Well, I was Mike Ladano, who does his show over on MikeLadano.com, I guess. He wanted to do an episode about Easter memories, and I'm like, Easter memories. Easter was church and more church, and then some chocolate on Sunday, and that was it. But he was talking about, like, past Easters where he got Transformers, and then he'd get cassettes for the bands he liked. All that. I'm like, what is this craziness? I've never heard of this. Getting toys for Easter, and even my sister, she like showing pictures of what her kids got, what she got her kids for Easter. It was all chocolate, just a little chocolate.
Huh.
Oh, yeah.
Basket of candy. That's what you get.
Yeah.
I got one up on you. My Easter was church, candy, kibasi. We'd always have like a nice, people come over, we'd have a nice meal. What was that?
That's awesome. I think we would do the turkey or a ham on a...
Ham is good too.
Yeah. And then we'd have to do fish on Friday because it was Good Friday.
Nah, we stopped doing that.
Yeah.
Do whatever I want.
I stopped doing everything. So, all right, I got to go eat a cold supper now. So, thank you everyone for tuning in. We had Rocket Sauce, we had Sarkis Sim, we had Deke for a while. Kyle. It's all good. That's it. That's good. Good show. Good times. Good fun.
Have fun.
That's right. We do less episodes now, so now you get a little longer episode. That's it.
A little longer, and hosts are better rested.
I was very tired though today. I almost did not. I almost canceled. I was like, man, I'm so tired. But no, as soon as I saw Richard sitting there over in Japan, I just perked right up.
There you go.
Like, boom. All right. Thank you for watching and listening, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.